ALS is a devastating disease that impacts every patient and every family differently. Just last year, on Valentine's Day, Chuck Johnson was diagnosed with ALS at only 38 years old. 7 months later, on September 19, 2024, Chuck and his wife Nicole attended the Captain's Ball together. And this past April 17th, 2025, just 14 months after his diagnosis, Chuck sadly passed away. We are here tonight to honor those we've lost, to support the families who carry on the fight, and to raise critical funds and awareness to help find a cure for ALS.
Chuck was my rock. He was my biggest supporter. He was a very involved father. He loved playing with the kids. He wanted to be a stay-at-home dad. The news was delivered by a neuromuscular fellow, and then the neurologist was also in the room and just handed me a box of tissues as I completely lost it. I mean, we had feared it for months, but to hear those three words, "You have ALS," and I was 6 months pregnant, gut-wrenching. And your whole future that you've envisioned with your partner, that you've chosen, is pretty much gone. Or it's not gone, it's completely different than what you've envisioned.
The day of diagnosis, Pete was driving a car. He was still playing baseball. He was talking, walking, working, and that's an ALS patient. That's who gets this diagnosis. And they tell you what's going to happen to you. Their needs just progress as long as every function of their body is taken away.
When we were diagnosed, there were no breadcrumbs. I kept looking for the breadcrumbs. How do you find the trail that has been blazed by others before us? There wasn't anything. Now I think through Pete's actions and others, there are ways that people can see a path.
Their future might not look like what they thought it was going to look like growing up, but that doesn't mean that their life ends here. It's just different.
And the people that I take care of, people who are confronting incredibly challenging circumstances and doing that with a bravery, which doesn't mean you're not afraid. It just means you're willing to stand up and do the right thing even though you're afraid.
Right before Jenna was born, we had to convert our living room, dining room area into a first floor bedroom and install a temporary ramp at our house in order to get him in and out of the first floor. I'm also giving birth, and I had a C-section, so I'm not supposed to lift anything more than the baby. And so my sister, Michelle, took FMLA leave from her job to pretty much be at our house every day to help him through some of those early transfers in and out of the car, up out of bed. Chuck and I did always watch like a Netflix show or some TV show, just the two of us before we would go to sleep, you know, just kind of to unwind from the chaos of the day. So we did, we watched an episode of Younger, which was Sutton Foster. He was asking for a pillow adjustment, and the next thing I knew, he couldn't talk to me, couldn't communicate, and I could see something immediately happened in his body, and his eyes closed. I replay that moment a lot. It's pretty horrifying, but in some sense, it was like me and him at the end. You know, they were able to get a pulse and brought him to MGH. And people were able to come and say goodbye. His whole care team at MGH came to say goodbye to him. They were so involved in our journey, and they all came to like say goodbye to Chuck, and that meant so much.
ALS is a monster of a disease. And at the same time, I see such brightness and hope in what we're doing in research and in bringing that to the clinic and being able to care for people. Within the last year or so, I was in a room with a patient who had a certain form of ALS caused by a gene mutation called SOD1. And this is the one form of ALS that we have a very effective treatment for. It's come out within the last couple of years. And sitting in that room, I saw her move her hand in a way that she hadn't for years. And it was amazing.
I hope my 3 kids will, at some point, appreciate how brave he was to leave the house, knowing very well that he had ALS and he was actively dying every day. But he left the house in our wheelchair accessible van. He participated, watched the kids play soccer, came to their school for mystery reader, went to a birthday party at a trampoline place. That adversity, able to power through, I hope they recognize that someday.
Just want to reiterate how appreciative we are of Healey Center. Events like this really make having ALS worth it. So just thanks again and have fun.
Thank you for supporting the Captain's Ball.
Thank you for supporting the Captain's Ball.
And I'd like to thank everybody who's already donated, everybody who has volunteered their time.
Know that just by being at the Captain's Ball, you're bringing awareness to this disease, and that is incredibly important. It's emotionally important to all of us who work in the field. It's incredibly important to people facing this disease to know that they're not alone. The money that's raised at an event like this has an impact on our work and on the field that can't be underestimated. It brings us to new biomarkers, it brings us to faster ways of doing clinical trials, and it even brings some drugs forward so that we can test them in situations where we wouldn't be able to because we just don't have the funding.